Hey guys, welcome back to another video. As you can tell, motor's in the car. I had a goal set up that I wanted to get this motor in the car by end of October, and I ended up getting it in the car on the 31st of October, I believe. This literally took me 5 minutes to get it in. I think I spent more time setting up the engine hoist and setting up the whole car, lift and everything, because I had to lower the lift a little bit just so I have enough, the car's low enough for me to lift the motor up and get it in. I think I spent more time doing all that than actually getting the motor in it. I think this literally took me 5 minutes to get it in. Just to give you guys a quick update on what I got done and things I've done, which may help you if you decided to go this route and all that stuff. So let's get started. I think the last video I talked about was I didn't want to do this vapor blasting for the subframe, but I ended up doing it. I found somebody close to me, which is like 2 miles away, which somehow I found it on Facebook. Cost $160 to vapor blast the whole front subframe, and it came out great. It looks pretty much brand new. I don't know if you can tell from my last video that it was pretty dirty. Along with that, engine brackets, I did that, got those done as well, which I think I paid $80 for both the brackets. Now, why is it expensive? It takes time to vapor blast and get every piece of dirt and everything removed. And they do by like hourly. I think that's how the machines are built. So any place you go, they'll coach you by hours. And yes, it does take a while. So both brackets are pretty much brand new with brand new bolts, except that one on both sides. I couldn't find the part number from Toyota to get the part number. So rear metal piece, it's also I got it powder coated, not vapor plastic, powder coated black, semi gloss, I believe, what I got done. Now it came out pretty great. All the little pieces, this piece, the big piece, there's a bunch of pieces in that bag as well that I still got to go ahead and install it, that connects to the lower suspension part of it, that goes through those two holes and stuff like that. But also I want to talk to you guys about the ABS line. This is a PHR. Now I'll go and talk to you more detail about the engine part underneath the car itself, but I had to take those lines out, and I removed all the brake lines from the car itself. I had to clean the two holes, which is where these two lines connect. They were pretty rusted out, and I'm glad I saw it before and not trying to rush to install these. And I cleaned the whole rust out. Had I not, they would have clogged the lines in the rear and collapsed the line or something. So I cleaned the hole inside of that and installed it back on. Now, as you notice, there's only two lines going in the back there. I removed the fuel feed and return, and I believe it was the vacuum line from the fuel tank. So I removed all those lines. I don't need them because I'll be running obviously dash 8 and dash 6 for my fuel and feed and return. Along with that, as you can notice, I painted the underside of the car. So I'll talk to you guys about that shortly. Back to the brake lines. It's the PHR lines with the brand new master brake booster and also the reservoir and everything for the brake. And I went and installed a heat sleeve on the brake line. And the reason why I did this is because I want to protect the brake lines being exposed to heat. And that's why I put it in a heat sleeve, just to avoid heating up the brake fluid. Now, the car's not going to be tracked or anything like that. It's just basically going to be for a street car and boost here and there. But I still wanted to protect the line from being exposed to heat too much. Again, this is still exposed a little bit, but it's not going to be like drastically exposed like in this area because of the downpipe and all that stuff. But I mean, I can always pull this more. I just got to loosen up the line a little bit and I can cover that. But just wanted to give you guys that this is the route. This is what I ended up doing, which, I thought it came out pretty great. Another thing I want to talk to you guys about is I'm not running an oil cooler. Again, I'm not going to be tracking this car. It's not going to be street race. It's not going to be like a track monster or a drag strip or anything like that. It's just strictly for streets, boosting here and there. But I went with the NA bracket, pretty much came with the block. So I ended up cleaning the whole inside and then going to be rocking this. Now, I do have a PHR oil relocation kit that I had originally bought for the Mark III. Couldn't install it because it was hitting the frame, the fittings and stuff. So I kept it, didn't sell it. So now I'm going to go ahead and install it on this car. And going to do that once I have the alternator and everything installed on the car. Now, I had a DM block plate. I ended up removing it, installed the PHR plate, which has two holes for sensors. I'm going to go ahead and install the oil temp sensor on there to monitor the oil. But again, even though I'm rocking the NA bracket, if it gets to a point where the oil is running too hot, I'm going to go ahead and we'll go like the oil cooler route. But again, I'll be doing oil changes pretty much every 1,000 miles or so on this car. Is it overkill? Yeah, I think I do the same thing with the Mark III, so I'm going to be doing the same thing for the Mark IV as well. But the Mark III has the oil cooler from factory, which is a TT motor. This is an NA block, so hence the reason why there's different things going on here. Now, let's talk about underneath the car. I do want to talk to you guys about what I had to do to install the trans. Before we get there, again, I sprayed here as well. This is why it looks like this. The reason why is because the subframe. I had the subframe out, so I ended up painting it, and hence why this looks like this. Because later on, if I decide to paint, I want to have at least part of it done, which this is why it looks like this. But if I wanted to paint the rest of it, I will go ahead and paint it, and it'll match pretty much all around it. So I might just do that, but it all depends on what later on, because this stuff smells when you paint the undercoat. So and it sucks, especially when you're laying down and painting the whole underneath the car, which I think it came out pretty great, but it's half-assed. Again, I was laying, and I highly recommend, if you're ever doing this on the floor, wear protective wear. The stuff smells really bad. Like I went and bought a face mask, a big face mask that covers my face from Home Depot, and I can smell it through it. And then obviously eyewear. But I want to talk to you guys about the transmission. I had the transmission installed. Again, it's the same process as everybody installs it. Measured the clutch, got the clutch installed, bell housing installed. But what people don't talk about on the Mark IV, let me get this, is, now I want to thank James Ward for this, and also SP Anthony. Both have told me that you have to hammer this whole area. And the reason being is that the top wall right there, not this one, but the other one, that has to clear. That whole section has to clear. And I hammered it a good amount, and I evened it out. But don't go too crazy if you're doing the T56. Now, granted, I don't recall him ever talking about it, and other people who have done the installation have not talked about it. But figured I'd let people know that you do have to hammer this area just enough to clear that bolt, and for the whole section on this side to clear. I used a 3-pounder to a point where my hands started getting tight and sore, and I just gave up. And then I was like, you know what, F it, let me see if it clears. If it clears, that's great. If it doesn't, then I'll just walk away and just not think about it for a while, and then I'll come back to it. So that's basically what I did. But I got lucky, and it ended up working out. But don't go too crazy, because this whole area is where the gas pedal is, and I'll show you guys inside what I'm talking about. But yeah, and then also I believe some people will say you have to hammer this area as well. Let me see if I can get this light in this part right here as well to clear this reverse lock. But I ended up not having to hammer it. I tried it at first, but then my hand was too tired, so I was like, let me just do what Degranis does, which he puts a ply bar after he installs the bracket, but not these two bolts. Put a ply bar right there and just push it out just enough where you can go ahead and tighten these two bolts, and then voila, you don't got to do anything. You have a lot of clearance here. It's not rubbing or anything like that. So just be mindful. Again, you don't have to hammer it. Some people will say, hey, you do have to, but you don't. And then that's pretty much it on this side, the transmission part. And then everything else underneath the car is power coated. Oh, not power coated, sprayed. I used the spray can. So let me get out of the car, take the light out. Let me talk to you guys about the rear. Diff is out. I'll talk to you guys about that spindle shortly. But look at this. Again, this is half-assed, but look, it came out pretty great. Everything underneath the car is sprayed. I had the whole gas tank out in the shed, which I have to clean out as well. But it came out pretty good. I still got to do this area on both sides, and then that area kind of half-assed as well. But it came out pretty decent. So I'm just gonna leave it as is. I don't want to overdo it. But yeah, I did take out all the lines again to remove the gas tanks and everything, and I wanted to get behind the brake lines all around. So again, I did this just because I want to protect the car. Underneath the car, again, this car came from, I believe, Utah. So it was a good amount of, I mean, it was rust free, except this area, I believe. It just surface rust on both sides. So I just went and cleaned it a little bit and then sprayed over it. So that's pretty much it on underneath the car itself. And then now let's talk about spindles and stuff. Now I'm gonna be doing the Ford 8.8. So this is useless. This is an NA auto diff, which is, I believe, it's a 410. So again, I'm selling it. If anybody was interested, it's $200. Pick up and stream it. Spindles. When you go ahead and do, I went to go ahead and take this out to separate the spindles, and I couldn't do it just because this thing's on there pretty good. I bent the whole back plating of this, and you can't buy this from Toyota, so I have to source a spindle. And I did find somebody local. I'm just waiting for him to take it out of his SC300. But I didn't touch the other one, which is right there. But I messed up this one. So now I'm just waiting on, I'm playing a waiting game from this guy to provide me that, so I can go ahead and get that separated, take it to my machine shop, maybe have them separated, and then get that all powder coated so I can install it back on the car. So I'm waiting on that. And then I have the rear subframe powder coated. This cost me $370. For those who are wondering how much does it cost to get it powder coated, maybe different on your in wherever you live, but this I paid $370 plus the brackets and the 2 round pieces for that goes on the subframe, and then Strongflex bushings, which I'll continue the video later on, the install process and how things go. But yeah, this is all rear subframe stuff, powder coated, and then that bag has the front spindles and something else. I can't recall, but I'm gonna go ahead and also put it in this video as well with the ARP installation and all that stuff, which one of these boxes have all the bearings. Oh, these boxes have the bearings and the aftermarket spindles and all that stuff. So to be continue on that. And then I do also have to source these parts. I think I bent one of them, which is the cap for the front spindles, and Toyota does not sell them, so do not bend them when you could take them out. As you can tell, like right here, it's like kind of bent. I have to straighten it out, which I'll figure it out. And I think that's pretty much what I wanted to talk to you guys about. So more to come. I'll continue the video on the spindle installation, and I have to, record the spindle part and flex part. So stay tuned. All right, guys, so started doing the bushings. I got one of the bushings in here with the sleeve. Just wanted to show you guys exactly how easy this installation is. Now this is all powder coated. Got it nice and powder coated locally here. And yeah, Strongflex, the yellow. They sell 2 colors, I believe. There's yellow and red. Red is more stiffer than the yellow, I believe. And then they do customize the color as well. I believe you have to let them know, and it's an extra charge. But yellow and red is usually what they normally sell. Now, for this particular piece, for the rear subframe, I believe the part number is 211793A. Now, you do get a whole bag, I believe. And the whole bag, what did I just do with the whole bag? It's on the floor. I believe the whole kit itself is 216222A. But again, for those particular bushings, this is the part number. And show you guys exactly how easy it is. You get these 2 washers, these really thick washers, the bushings, and the sleeve that's on the floor now. It's a very thick sleeve, by the way. So open this up. This is look at this. This thing's beautiful. Semi-gloss all around. They sandblast the inside. It's very nice and clean. So what I'll do is they give you a good amount of grease as well. Just go ahead and apply it. So what I do is apply a little bit inside. And then Apply it on the grease, on the sleeve itself. And then apply it on the bushing. Just all around, inside a little bit. And this is how easy this thing installation is. All you gotta do is push it in, and that's in. Same with here. This part, you may have to get a little aggressive with it. Best to do is just put a lot of grease on each end of it, depending on which end you wanna push in first. So that's in. So now what I do normally is just use a mallet. So look at that, it's in. Flushed, sleeves in, ready to go. So when I go ahead and install this, what I'm gonna do is go ahead and apply some lube on the, what's it called? The subframe piece of it, a little bit of anti-seize, just so that in the future, if I ever wanna take it out, it'd be easier for me to take it out. So I'll just go ahead and apply a tiny little bit on the subframe part of it. But yeah, that's how easy this is to install. So I'm gonna go ahead and look like it came out on one side. I just noticed it. So it's in there pretty good. So just double check. I thought I had noticed that it was completely flush, but I guess it was sticking out one end, but now it's completely flush. But I'm gonna go ahead and take the subframe out and show you guys the installation for the big bushings, which is the part number 211792A. These are the big piece, the bushings that go in the front subframe part of it. These go in the rear. And before I forget, the diff bushings that has the two sleeves and the single sleeve. If you have any car, I believe you only have this particular bushing on the car when you go to replace it. I believe the turbo cars have the two bushings. Now I'm going to do the two bushings, obviously, because I'm going to be doing the Ford 8.8. So this is the one with the two, which is 211795A. And then the single one, which is 211796A. Cool. So let me go ahead and turn the camera to the subframe part of it. I got to take the subframe out actually from the wrapping. And I'm going to go ahead and clean up the stock factory bolts first. And then I'll show you guys the installation process of the bushing itself on the subframe. All right, that took a while, but I'm gonna go ahead and spray cavity wax all over it, and then we'll continue based off that. Yeah. All right, guys, so I made a huge mess, and I got the subframe basically cavities sprayed pretty much in a bunch of the holes. I do want to spray more. Probably will do later on just because I'm making a more big of a mess right now. And I want to show you guys exactly how this goes on. I do need to put seals, the grease on the fittings and everything and the sleeves, but these do just slide in. This is basically where the subframe would connect to the body, and this would just slide in. It will stop at the end. There is a little stopper right here, and then you'll get the other small piece of it, which would just be like on here, right? And then you'll just push the sleeve in, I guess from the top, and I just apply some grease all around, and then the washer itself would just go on. Once you put this piece on, would just go on the on top of it, because that's where the bolt goes in. So it's got to apply force all the way in, and then you basically would torque it. And then the other two black pieces that I did the bushings on will just slide in here, which I'm going to go ahead and apply a little bit of anti-seize on both ends just to, you know, keep it nice and, you know, I guess rust free. So I'm gonna go ahead and start applying the bushings in as grease on the bushings. I'm gonna go ahead and install it, and then I apply some anti-seize on those ends, and then we'll try to see if I can get this installed on the car. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, because when I originally took the subframe out, it had a diff, so I gotta put some block or something and get this nice and up there, and then just bolt it in, and then I can just go ahead, lift that end by hand and just get those bolted in, I guess. So let's see. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and install the bushings. Right. They do give you a lot of grease. Make sure you use it. That's it. Easy as that. So I'm gonna go ahead, get this all situated on the jack and then with the block, see how I can get this up on the subframe, on the body itself, on the back, and then hopefully I can get this installed and show you guys exactly how it looks. All right, guys, so I got the whole rear subframe installed with the bushings and everything. Now, you cannot do this alone at all if you don't have the diff on this subframe. It was very difficult for me to even try to do it myself with the jack. So I had my neighbors help me out. Two of my neighbors basically picked it up from each side, and then I went ahead and bolted it on, the first two bolts, and then got these in here as well. Make sure that this nut is either completely loose when you go to install the subframe, because you need to line up these bolts. If you have that nut in there and pretty much hand tighten, these bolts will not align properly, the holes itself. So make sure that the nuts are basically loose on both ends. And this is how it's supposed to be installed based off the pictures I saw online, with the washer, the fat washer, and then the nut itself. Now, I do not know the torque spec for this nut, but for these bolts, the 4 bolts on each end, it's going to be 43 foot-pounds of torque. And then the 2 long studs are basically going to be 123 based off the Toyota TSRM specs and everything. So pretty much it's installed. I'm pretty sure I scratched it up here and there, like you see right here. It was very difficult for me to attempt to do it myself. And then, yeah, one thing to know is that this particular bushing area, the sleeve needs to be down more towards the bottom, not on the top. I made a mistake on putting the sleeve on top and then not pushing it down, because that when you go to install it, there's a sleeve itself on the car. So you have to make sure that you grease that as well. So when you push it in, the sleeve is more towards the middle, the one you get from Strongflex. So that way that it slides into the bushing itself, and then it sits properly, and then you basically hand tighten the bolt and on each end, and then basically tighten it that way. So I made a mistake when I went to go install it originally. The sleeve was all the way on top and I couldn't get it in, and so I had to drop it again and fix this metal sleeve inside, and then install it back on. So this is pretty much done for subframe wise. I'm gonna go ahead and I guess start sourcing another spindle for the rear end, so I can get those in powder coated, and then I can install the coilovers and the new control arms and all that stuff, which is gonna be the P2M full front and back kit. So stay tuned for that. Aside from that, I think this is where I'm gonna end the video on just the update and the installation of the rear subframe with the Strongflex bushings and stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I learned a small thing here and there. So thanks for watching.